Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Wednesday, hump day. So we're middle of the week right now as it is. Today was another good day for us. Obviously, the miners were up. Bitcoin was up as well. Some miners were actually in the red here, but we had Bitfarms pumping. We had Cipher pumping as well. We'll talk about obviously some developments happening with Cipher potentially here. Could they be getting a deal? We'll talk about that just a bit. We'll also talk about CleanSpark. Are they looking to get in sites in Texas? There's some developing stuff that's happening there. We'll talk about that as well. And then we'll take a look at CORZ Scientific, their production update for September based on their post on X. We'll take a look at what they have. We don't know as far as what their hash rate is and things like that, but we'll get into that nonetheless. And we got some good news stories on Bitcoin, I believe, and we'll get into Q&A. So it should be pretty short and sweet. Well, I don't know if it's going to be short, but it should be sweet. Nonetheless, we got to go through this. Not financial advice for time only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. You guys know the drill here. And let's take a look at what happened here today with Bitcoin and the miners. So Bitcoin had a nice little rebound here today after going down quite a bit on Tuesday, right? It was down 2.67% on Tuesday. Today we were up 1.61%. Gained back, I would say, a little bit more than half of what we lost. Yesterday we're down on the new for some reason on it. We're down another 0.98% here today for Thursday, it looks like. Ethereum also did pretty well today. It was up just a little bit. It was up 0.174%, down again in the after hours. I'm not sure did I miss something that's happening right now that freaked everybody out? Why is Bitcoin and Ethereum selling here in the last little bit here? I'm not sure. If you guys know anything that's happening that I missed, let me know. Markets overall are pretty good today as well. They were in the green. Bitfarms had a great day today. Got to a high of $4.04, closed at $4. It was up $15.27. BitDeer was down again today, 3.2% for some reason. I'm not sure why. Kango was up a little bit, 2.86%. Cipher up huge, 11.75%. Got to a high of $18.09, closed at $17.60 there. This thing is having a nice rebound after getting the convertible notes, right, which were those couple days there while that was going on. So we're still waiting on IREN to report on their convertible notes as far as how oversubscribed those are. We'll talk about that here in a second here. CleanSpark was up nicely as well, 5.68%. It was almost up 10% at one point, getting to a high 1969, closed at 1898. So that had a great day today. CORZ was up nicely, 2.51%. Hive was up also nicely at 5.48%. Got to a high of $6.63, closed at $6.54. Hut 8 was up nicely as well, 6.88%. It got to a high of $45.25. And closed at 44.60 there. IREN today was down. We kind of knew that this was going to be down, but it actually wasn't as bad as it might have been, right? It was down actually worse throughout the day. Then it came back up here. So it was only down 2.58%. We expected this to be down a little bit because of the convertible notes that are going to be happening there. So like I said, we don't know any details on it. We'll see how oversubscribed those things are by maybe tomorrow. We'll get some news on that. There is a rumor, not a rumor, there's somebody reporting that I'm forgetting it right now, but it was something about the deal about being 0%, I believe it was. It's just a speculation there on that part. Mara was down a little bit today again. It was down 0.25%. Riot was up 2.42%. Wolf was up 1.65%. And the Bitcoin holding companies, MicroStrategy was up just a little bit, 0.73%. Galaxy was up 4.64%. Block was up 2.64%. Coin was up 3.06. Metaplanet was down 2.4. Exodus was up 1.2. Nexon was down 0.3. Similar was down 0.5. Phoenix was down 0.4. GameStop was up actually 0.25. Small miners today split somewhere in the green, somewhere in the red. Any for some reason was up today, 11.87%. Really no news there, right? Not sure what the heck is going on with that one. It's just pumping because it's small. It's getting manipulated, I believe. That's just my thoughts on it. What else do we have here? ETFs for the Bitcoin miners here. BitQ was up 2.24%. BKCH was up 2.94%. DAP was up 2.5%. WGMI was up 3.75% of the day after being actually down in the red. Large portion of the morning, actually, I think. BMNR, Ethereum Holding Company, was up 1.35%. BitDigital was up 8.02%. BTCS was up 2.76%. Game was up 1.01%. And SBET was down 1.13%. Some of the other companies that we track here, ABTC was up actually just a little bit, 0.44. Wi-Fi was up another 1.96, was up higher than lower, and actually finished up in the green, which was nice. Open was down 8.61%, giving away pretty much all the gains that it had yesterday and the day before. Oracle was up 1.54% after we talked about the news on them with razor thin margins possibly there. Nebius was up 3.65%. Soluna for some reason was up huge today, 39.41%. This thing is obviously up and down, up and down. It's just all over the place here. Like I said, be careful with that one. I think that one's just being manipulated right now, but we'll see how it does going forward there. Backed was up 2.16%, and FRMI, Fermi, was down 4.72. This is a new AI data center builder that we're tracking as well on that one. As far as the miners after hours right now, they are still doing pretty good, a lot of these guys here. Bitdeer is up actually 0.75% there. Bitfarms is up another 1.25%. Cipher is up another 5.68%. CleanSpark is up, or actually now it's down 0.32% or being up here a little bit. CORZ Scientific is up 0.17%. Hive Digital is down 1.5% or 0.15%. Hut 8 is down 0.04. So things are starting to turn to the red here a little bit on these guys here. Where does IREN come in at? IREN comes in at now up just a little bit, 0.68. Mara is down 0.15%. Riot is down down, let's see where it ends. Down 1.14%. And then TeraWolf is down here, or actually, let's see if I can get this refreshed because that one looks like it's off. It is actually up 3.82% right now as it is. And then lastly, Soluna here is down 1.41%. That's not too bad. Really good day in gains. Not too bad as far as downside on that one. As far as, which one was it? Cipher, right? Cipher, the way the stock has been running up here recently, obviously today, after hours trading as well, it is almost indicative of something that's going to be happening there, whether it's going to be a deal or something. We don't know what that's going to be, but we've seen this before, right? It's running after hours nicely here. It's running during the day as well, also really nicely. There's something that might be afoot there. We don't know. Somebody might know something, but we don't know. We're just going off this, that there might be something happening here with Cipher, with a deal for some more megawatts being used for HPC, whether it's co-location deal or whether or not they're going to go for it themselves, becoming a neo cloud similar to IREN there. So we're going to keep an eye on that, see what happens there tomorrow, see if we get a release. And Mike Alfred actually posted something on X that stated that something to the effect of a deal maybe being reported tomorrow, pre-market hours, because that's when they like to report things. So that's the other part of it that I saw that was kind of like, okay, that's a little suspect there. We'll see if that plays out, if they do get a deal for tomorrow. We'll see. Okay. Lastly here, as far as October so far, Bitcoin's up 76.2%, so it's looking pretty good here. Bitcoin ETF inflows here from all of these guys here. Let's see what we got for today. Yesterday we also had a really good day. We had 899 million in inflows from IBIT, from BlackRock. That accounted for 875 million inflows into Bitcoin yesterday. Today we're positive still, 14.5. So even Bitcoin, Bitcoin was down yesterday quite a bit, but we still had huge buying. So who the heck was selling there? And then today we're up just a little bit, 14.5 million, without actually knowing where BlackRock has come in at that point on it. Okay, so there's that. A couple of good stories on Bitcoin here. This is from Jack Dorsey. Square introduced a Bitcoin wallet solution to enable local businesses to accept Bitcoin payments with zero fees, right? This is bullish. This is great. They obviously have a lot of terminals out there for businesses, and this is a great way to introduce Bitcoin into them and make it accessible to people. So they're obviously working hard to get Bitcoin to be used as a method of payment, which is great, which is awesome to see. Here, we got this breaking 2 trillion. Citibank just said live on CNBC that Bitcoin will continue to go up for the next 12 months. We are just getting started here, so let's take a quick listen to this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think going into late 26, your forecast for Bitcoin and Ether are pretty good, yes?
Not mine, but our team's, yeah. So we're looking for continued follow through there. It kind of comes back to your discussion earlier on how to think about your alts in terms of gold and crypto. And, I think your commentary is spot on there. I think we just have to allow that. You have a very aggressive momentum-driven equity market, and so I think people don't want to miss that. So you're looking for your hedging opportunity, and the way we see it, in addition to central bank buying, as you mentioned, I think that those two asset classes become hedges of choice as you're trying to navigate this ongoing strength, highly valued but momentum-driven equety market.
So there you go. Bitcoin's going to be going up for the next 12 months. What does that mean for the cycles? Well, it probably means that the cycles are over, right? Which is kind of what I've been talking about here for the last, what has it been, 9 to 12 months or something like that? It's talking about the cycle being different from what we have seen in the past here with all the adoption happening, not only in private companies, but also public companies and also countries and everything else and states. It is a different beast, animal, whatever you want to call it this time around. It's not going to be the regular 4-year cycle, I don't think. But I could be wrong on that. We'll see it after this year, right? We'll see if Bitcoin starts to nosedive in 2026, which I don't think is going to happen, but that would be historically what would happen here. All right, so that's awesome news there that others are looking at it that way as well. This is from Ernest. I thought this was kind of a little fun here. So Ernest says, CleanSpark with the fifth state to be announced later this month. I believe Matthew Schultz is giving us a hint which state they're about to join. Looking forward to the CleanSpark PR later this month. Will this be an HPC or Bitcoin mining database or site actually? And then here we got this from post from Matthew Schultz, CEO of CleanSpark. Phenomenal dinner in DC last night. Now enjoying Dallas, talking about our next growth plans with my buddy Mike Alfred and our incredible the incredible Greg Abbott, which is the governor of Texas. There probably nothing TikTok, right? So they might be getting into Texas there. It looks like. So that's kind of interesting there. And right, obviously we all love Mike Alfred here. He's been a staunch supporter of a lot of these Bitcoin miners here, and IREN and Cipher even, and at times CleanSpark as well. So it's great to see that those guys are, talking business or talking shop. We'll see what comes of this, but that's awesome to see. And then Mike Alfred also posted here a A5 Wagyu and Tomahawk ribeye with Matthew Schultz. And I love Texas, right? So they're having dinner right now as it is, and this was just about when was this reported? About half an hour ago, so roughly 45 minutes or so on it. So we'll see what comes of this, right? Will CleanSpark get into Texas? Might be a possibility there. We know that there's a lot of megawatts available there and sites along the way. We'll see, right? But we also know that there's a lot of competition in that state as well for megawatts and for data centers and all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, whether or not that's the right bet going forward. All right, that's it. That's all I got for you guys as far as news is concerned. Let's take a look at here really quick on CORZ Scientific. CORE doesn't report their monthly operations anymore, right? You guys are aware of that. The only thing that they report is their daily production on X. And they also include there what they actually mine for the month. So that's kind of what we're using there. We don't know what their hash rate is. I wish they would include that in there. It wouldn't be much more trouble than what it is right now. But they don't. So we're going off the hash rate that was last reported on their quarterly results here, which is probably going to be even lower than where it is right now. Right, but this is kind of the only thing that we have on them right now as it is. We know that they're also getting bought out by CoreWeave. That vote is happening later on this month, I believe. We'll see if that vote goes through on the shareholders' approval for the buyout. And yeah, we'll obviously see what happens after that. After they get bought out, they probably won't even report the daily, right? It'll be CoreWeave, and we won't get any reports unless they report quarterly, which they obviously have to right now. But here's what we have so far in CORZ Scientific. So 305 million shares outstanding. The stock price has done all right compared to the other miners here in the last 12 weeks. It's up 33%. From 8 weeks ago, it's up 26%. From 4 weeks ago, it's up 12.4%. And last week was up 5.7%. So it's doing actually pretty good here compared to where it was just a couple of weeks ago after they announced the buyout from CoreWeave. Right, then the stock kind of followed. CoreWeave stock price down as well. We got down to lows, $12, $13 lows, right around that range. And it's come back up here a little bit, so that's nice to see at least that part. Bitcoin HODL, we don't know what the HODL last reported was, 1,190. That's valued about 45 million or so there. The Bitcoin production here has been coming down pretty much every single month here for the most part for last year, and going back to all the way to September of last year. It's at 157.4 right now for the month of September there. Revenues have also been coming down. They had a nice May here. Bitcoin obviously did a pretty good. Hash rate wasn't that high at that point as well, so they had a pretty good, overall pretty good, but it's been coming down for them. Hash rate, I haven't 17.6 exahash. They're probably lower than that even now. I would say maybe somewhere around maybe 14 exahash based on the numbers that we're seeing here on the days that they possibly might have mined here. BTC per exahash efficiency is not great, 8.94. Going down here, we can take a look at the institutions. Institutions did increase here a little bit for them, 502 from the prior month. Shares also increased a little bit here, but percentage owned went actually down a little bit to 98.85% owned by institutions. We still have 7 strong buy ratings, 1 buy rating, 10 hold ratings, 0 underperform, 0 sells. Price target actually went up to $29. The average went up to $19.95, and the low went up to $17 for them. And then for the month of September here, based on what they reported being mined in Bitcoin, I have them operating at 19.4 days. That's why I'm saying they're probably like at 14 exahash, because I don't think they're shut down for 10 days out of the month here. I think it's probably a couple of days. That's why I'm saying they're probably like at 14 exahash right now as it is. But at least we get to see what number they had for Bitcoin mined, which gives us at least a revenue for them. For the month of September, which was 17.8 million, that gets us to 57.5 million in revenue. And you're seeing that also coming down here as well, right? They had a nice revenue in March of 2024. For that quarter, 149, almost 150 million there. And it's been coming down ever since then each quarter as time progresses, and they're moving more towards their HPCI ambitions and powering up the data centers for CoreWeave there. Okay, but that's all I got, right? Well, we were expecting a while back for them to be buying the block miners, right? The proto miners. They were supposed to get like 15 exahash of those. I haven't heard anything on that, so I'm doubting that that's even happening there. I don't think that's going to happen. And we're just basically waiting for them to get bought out by CoreWeave. And then we'll see if that vote goes through or not. Right? There's a lot of people that are opposed to it. But it's got to take its course. We got to go through the vote and see if it does go through or not. If it doesn't go through, then maybe CoreWeave will try to renegotiate a deal. If not, they'll just hold on to the contracts that they have currently with Core Scientific. But CoreWeave definitely needs to take ownership of their own sites to have their own control over their destiny, which they currently do not have by being so asset light. But that's just my take. All right, as far as price-wise, I mean, I'm in between 1139 and 1708. They're at 1753 right now. We know that the price should be probably around $20-some-odd based on the deal with CoreWeave. So that's kind of where we are, okay? All right, the spreadsheet, as always, will be available to my Patreon members. We'll get that updated either tonight or later on tomorrow morning sometime for you guys. Link for that is down in the description if you want to join and help support what I do. All right, that is it. Let's get into Q&A here, and we'll call it a day. It's been a fun ride here the last couple weeks, couple months even. So, as always, questions, preface those with a question mark or a Q. I'd appreciate it. I'm going to scroll my way up and work my way down as always. All right, let's see here. Sorry, Melon says, Seb, about this run we're having, should I be worried or am I just not bullish enough? LOL. Yeah, obviously you have to be cautious, right? I'm trying to be cautious as well. It's like there's a lot of money on the line here. I'm sure a lot of you guys are in the same place that I'm in right now, that there's a lot of money on this. We definitely don't want it to go down, 30-40% from where we are. Even I think a 25% hit would be kind of hard, but at least we would still have some nice gains there. So I'm being very cautious right now as it is. I think there's more upside to go on this. I think with AI and everything else, I think it's just going to be continuing to grow. There's going to be more and more things that are going to be done by AI. It's just inevitable. And right, it's just we're early in this. The stuff is getting repriced right now, but I do think that there's still more room to run here right now. All right, let's see. D-Roy says, you know what to do. Smash it. Smash the like button. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Victor C., what possible deal do you think Cipher will be getting? I mean, it could be an extension of Fluid Stack deal. They might get something else with them, possibly, because they already have deal with them. We've seen others do the same thing, right? Get a small deal, then they go in and get another deal, potentially, if they can't, for whatever reason. But it might be Fluid Stack, it might be somebody else, it might be Oracle. Oracle is obviously in dire need of megawatts. So they might get a deal with Oracle. We'll see, right? We don't know exactly what's going to happen there, but we can only hypothesize. SK, with one more deal of, say, similar size as first one, what price do I have now for Cipher? I mean, Cipher has had a nice run up here. It could still go up another 25-30% from where it's at, if not even higher than that. All right. SK, is Hive still undervalued? What price we can still get in? Based on my numbers here, I think it is still undervalued. And it's still undervalued by quite a bit here. Let's take a look at Hive here really quick on the sheet here. We can see it is at 654 right now. I still have it between 934 and 1402. And that's with the discount on the PE, right? A PE of 10 instead of 15 for the rest of these guys. So I think they are still undervalued. I think there's still more room to run. But you guys also know my gripe about them. The only gripe that I have is that they don't have any operations in the United States. I don't know if that will be something that will impact their valuation, right? Could it be, maybe it won't get as high of a valuation as others, but I could be wrong on that. But that's the only thing that I see there on that one. Other than that, I still think it's undervalued right now. Okay. All right, let's go back here. All right, LM, question, any miners that haven't run yet that are worth buying? Well, like I said, Bitfarms still I think is worth buying. It's actually up at $4 right now. It might be getting but I think it still has more room to run. That one's basically valued at now, what, roughly $2 billion, I think, right? Right, it's got 500 million shares at $4. Yeah, it's roughly $2 billion. I think that one. Hive is another one. BitDeer as well, I think, is another one. CleanSpark still, I think, is undervalued from where they should be. And then IREN, right? If they continue to grow their neo cloud business, continue to add more GPUs, buy more GPUs for that as well. That thing probably could go up even higher from where it's at also, along with Cipher and others as well. Victor, do you think the Cipher could be a long-term hold like IREN thinks? I do think it has a potential, right? So if it makes more revenue from HPCI, whether it's through co-location or going into it themselves with a neo cloud section of their business as well, then yeah, I do think it's going to be a longer-term hold. I think the Bitcoin mining halving that happens every 4 years might be less of an impact on these guys here going forward, especially if they were generating more revenue from that portion of the business. All right, Erwin, answer to your question as to why BTC down now purely due to manipulation to liquidate some long perps. Okay, yeah, I haven't seen anything that would be like shocking as to why. So it's just manipulation in the markets. Abhilesh, question, is IREN no longer going to generate Bitcoin? I heard Dan saying they are removing ASICs machines and plugging in NVIDIA systems. They have a lot of megawatts still that have Bitcoin mining. I don't know where they are right now as far as exahash. They were at 50 exahash. I think they're going to be close to that, going to be holding onto that for a while longer. But as they get more and more demand, they could possibly be slowly moving that into HPCI, right? So I think they also have stated that if Bitcoin mining continues to be very profitable, they can continue to do that as well, right? So I don't think that's an issue yet. All right, that'll do it outdoors. Brother form from another mother, please let me know what you think of GPUs and their current updates in Michigan. Which GPUs and which Michigan? Obviously the state Michigan, but I'm not sure what you're getting at there right now. Maybe be a little bit more specific as far as whose GPUs, which site in Michigan, who's in the Michigan right now as it is. Guy took a position for CleanSpark at 19. Hope I'm not too late. If you had to enter, which other miner would you enter in other than CleanSpark at this point, and CleanSpark and other miner exit point? Well, I think CleanSpark still has potential room to run. Hive, I think, as well. Bitfarms, I also think Cipher, IREN, I think all these guys, as long as they continue to go towards the path of HPCI, they will generate more and more revenue going forward here. So I think we're still early in this phase. I mean, we're only probably like in the third inning of HPCI build out. We still have a long ways to go. This is not the end stages of it all. This is still the beginning, right? I mean, if you think about it, all the robots that are going to be coming down the line, those are going to have to be operating on some sort of AI, whether it's going to be AI built into them or AI where they can connect to the network and access AI that way. You got obviously cars autonomous. It's just going to become more and more autonomous things out there, and they're all going to connect to AI one way or another. Right? You're going to have industries that are going to be disturbed by this as well, or disrupted. Whether it's medicine, science, schooling, education, all those things are going to get disrupted by AI in one form or another over the next, I would say, 5 to 10 years. So there's going to be a huge, huge demand in all this stuff. And we're very early into it right now. All right, let's see here. Rob, massive late stage capitalism seems like the IREN convertible has changed to 42% above market priced for conversion. If that's the case, plus capped call, and if this is 0% like Cipher, I could see IREN running to 80. Okay, in a short order. Okay, that would be great. Let's see, this was the tweet you were mentioning earlier. Okay, yeah, thank you. All right, so I knew I saw something on that. Thank you for that. Let's see, Gary, IREN has 5 exahash miners in Canada. Those will get unplugged to put in GPUs. They have higher energy costs in Canada, so not as big of a loss as they lost any of the 45 exahash in Childress. Okay, yeah, so I mean, but they could put those in other sites in Childress, I think, as well, I think, maybe. So it's not too bad. Yeah, if they only did 5 exahash out of the 45, that's not bad. SH Bitfarm cleared all the resistance points, and now it has no more resistance at all let's get to $10 and higher. That would be awesome. Yeah, right. We're kind of in price discovery on that one as well. Abhishek, question: did you create a spreadsheet for Kango? Do you think it is under or fairly valued? Kango, I do have Kango in my spreadsheet as well. I have all these guys here. Well, not all of them, but I have a majority of them here as the ones that at least reported monthly production updates. I do have Kango here. Kango I have between 621 and 1034. They're at 468, and I've even discounted them quite heavily here down to 8 PE. The thing with Kango is they don't have any infrastructure of their own, asset light. They do have one site that I think is 50 megawatts that they bought recently. So that's the only thing that they have that is theirs. Everything else is hosted. They do pay a higher fee, obviously, for that. So their costs are much, much higher when it comes to Bitcoin mining. The only good thing is that they have a very small team there that is not siphoning a lot of cash out of it. So it still should be profitable for them. But they, obviously, like I said, are very, very asset light. So I'm not sure what kind of a premium they should get on that, if any, really. And that's why the stock is probably where it's at right now. On that. But we're still waiting on them to report their September update as well. And then we'll see where they come in at that point. All right, let's go back. Okay. Southern Coin asks, what is CLSKW? That's the warrant part of theirs. They do have warrants as well. I think you can get those. Some people have been trading those as well. I don't get into the warrant side of things. SH, is Sharon's site at Bitfarms ready to be contracted for HPC? I don't think it's ready, right? They do have the megawatts available there, but they can get more megawatts potentially as well. So, I mean, it would have to, then we need to do some retrofitting, obviously, right? So it's not like ready to go, plug in and you're ready to go. You have to do some stuff to it. All right, Christopher, think Cipher or some other small miner get bought out by BlackRock or someone else. I mean, it's a possibility. We saw BlackRock buy out somebody else for $40 billion here recently, right? Less revenue than what IREN is making, actually. So that's why we're thinking that IREN can definitely go much higher here. But yeah, it is a possibility. You just never know, right? Some of these big guys could buy them out. I mean, Google could buy out potentially Cipher. They could buy out also TeraWulf if they wanted to, right? They're taking small positions there in the companies already. So they could be, if push comes to shove and they really need the megawatts there, they could just offer to buy them out and be done with it. So that's something that's going to be on the minds there as well. All right. Let's see, Gary, if CoreWeave gets core deal, it will be the biggest deal of AR rally. They are offering pennies on the dollar of true value, but a huge amount of the big guys own CoreWeave. So institutions may approve deal. Yeah, right. Depending how many shareholders are there, there are private. The street basically compared to the institutions there. Daniel, thank you so much for the super chat. MicroStrategy price target upside from here. Oh gosh, that thing has not been doing well at all. Let's take a look at, let's see where it's at right now. That thing has been underperforming here. We've been kind of seeing that the miners might outperform MicroStrategy, and sure enough, it is working out that way as it is right now. So here, recently got to a high of 457. This was back in July, right? Last year we got to $543, and it fell after that. Yes, Bitcoin did fall as well, but Bitcoin actually rebounded at least somewhat. This one hasn't really. And they've been buying a heck of a lot more Bitcoin here and stacking it on their treasury side of things. But I think they also have so many of these doggone vehicles, these different ticker symbols, right? STRC. But gosh, they got so many. I can't even keep track of all the different ticker symbols they have for the different equity that they have out there. Some equity actually will pay you dividends, some doesn't. It's like, okay. So it's gotten really, really diluted in that sense, I think. And that's maybe why it hasn't been doing as well. But I think if Bitcoin does go up, to 150,000, 200,000, I think it should go up. Will it go back up to those values where it was before? That I don't know. All right. I don't know about that. It'll go up, but maybe it goes back up to 543, maybe, from where it was. But Bitcoin probably has to double from here, I would think. Something like that. Okay. But it hasn't acted at all like Bitcoin has. Right. The miners are doing much better right now. So, like I said before, I'm a fan of what they're doing as far as buying up all the Bitcoin, but I'm just not a fan of, well, not that I'm not a big fan. I would not buy MicroStrategy to get exposure into Bitcoin. I would just buy Bitcoin myself. That's the way I kind of look at it. So how much of a premium should they really get on the Bitcoin they hodl? Probably not much, in my opinion. But that's just me. Okay. SH, do you think the miners will replace the old miners and keep producing BTC or call it off and quit the mining business? Well, I think they will continue to do mining, right? Like, take an example for CleanSpark. CleanSpark has 33 sites, right? Not all of those sites are going to be maybe a good fit for HPC AI. So you got those sites, you might as well keep mining Bitcoin there. And if Bitcoin goes into a extended cycle this time around, right, where it stays up in these levels, only corrects maybe 20, 30% or something like that, a couple of times like we've seen here in the last year, then we could see the miners being profitable for a much longer time frame, right? Profitable, I mean by at least being cash flow positive on this stuff, not including stock-based compensation and depreciation in that, but if you're looking at just overall cash flow out of those things, then yeah, I think they will probably continue to mine going forward as well. And they also serve a purpose there as well. All right. SK, do you think Applied will beat earnings tomorrow and price will go up further? Are they reporting tomorrow? Are they off by a month? Usually the miners or usually companies don't report for like a month after the quarter end, something like that. So I'd be surprised if they report tomorrow, but I could be wrong on that one. I don't know if they'll beat earnings. I think the revenue is going to be coming in later on this year and next year, I believe, is when the revenue they're going to be getting from CoreWeave there. So I don't know if that will be in there yet. All right, download IBIT. Traditionally, is January always red for Bitcoin or in general for the markets? I think, well, we can take a look at Bitcoin here in January. Here it is. So January typically is kind of split here. Let me see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red years out of 13 years overall that we have in here. So it's split on it, and it can go either way on it right now. We've had the last 3 years being in the green, which was nice, but we've obviously had a bear market in 2022, so it was red. Hard to tell. We'll have to wait and see. Typically, I think December in the markets is usually red because you got institutions selling. They are also reallocating their exposure on different things, and that's usually towards the end of the month. In December, it's red. So something else to keep in mind. All right. Okay. Bitch82 question: what will it take for Mara to catch a bid? Barely covering their HODL with market cap. Do they not own enough infrastructure to option in HPC AI? They own 65% of it there, right? The other 35 roughly is still hosted. And I mean, they did buy the windmill or the wind farm, wind energy farm, and they're going to be plugging in some of the older ASICs that they have in there. I'm guessing that that's probably not a great location to be plugging in HPCI because you would have so many smaller little containers of HPC, so that doesn't really make much sense there. The other sites that they do have are big, right? And they could possibly retrofit those for HPCI, but maybe they don't want to get into it. I don't know. Yeah. All right. Southern Coin is CLSKW, worth investing in. Some people have done well on it. Like I said, I don't get into that one. I just buy the straight up stocks, the regular ones. All right, B82 is still buying Hive and Bitfarms. They are both still significantly undervalued. I would agree there. Abhish Hashek, Bitdeer has a huge power pipeline, and I saw somewhere it has the lowest market cap capacity through. That's why it's holding back. I think it's because it's Singapore based. I think, right? They're not U.S. based. They do have a bunch of sites in the United States, though. They are also producing their own ASICs, making their own ASICs. I mean, they do have a lot of potential, but right, I think with them not being headquartered in the United States and maybe having some China ties in the past, maybe people are just skittish on it. And I think also the board there, some people have mentioned that the board is, there might be some issues with the board, but they're not happy with the board or whatever it might be. I don't know. So that's just what I'm seeing. All right. SH. Andrea is cussing out now since Soluna is up 0.8 today. Let's review Soluna again to make him happy. Did that in the beginning. Yeah, it was up huge today. It was up 39% or something like that. So definitely bounced back from the last couple of days. All right. HB, what do you think the ceiling is for Bitfarms if on their next earnings call they don't mention development on their data centers? Will the stock drop? Yeah, I think this, yeah, you got to have positive outlook from the team there, right? So if they don't, I mean, they can, they need to report something, right? That they're progressing on one way or another with it. And then, yeah, if they don't, if they completely omit anything on HPCI, then yeah, the stock will probably tank because investors will be like, what the heck, right? So yeah, they gotta mention something at that point. All right, Victor C, could it be a long-term long without being a neo, but a co-location deals? I'm not sure which one you're talking about there. Question, I'm still confused why Oracle lost money on AI and why their stock still moved up. Is the AI FUD behind us? Yeah, I don't think it was FUD. I think it was taken out of context maybe. I mean, yeah, they reported what was it, like 18% profit margins on the deals that they have right now. So that's what they're talking about, razor thin margins. But it's also, I think, with Oracle, you do have where they have some of their own sites, but they also co-locate with some of the other sites as well. So that's going to add cost to it. But you're still making money on it, right? You're still profitable. And just, yeah, I think it was just a little blown out of proportion, I think. So I'm not too worried about that right now. All right, Guy, which one is better to take position into right now? Hive or Bit Digital? It has to be one. Thanks. I would go probably with Hive. Bit Digital is basically an Ethereum treasury company right now. So, right, they're no longer a Bitcoin miner. They spun off their HPCI business into white fiber. So I would probably go with Hive on that one. All right, B82, seems most miners could not see a path to ongoing profits, but is HPCI any better in the term of margins versus the refresh capital costs and the technology obsoletes? I mean, they're pretty much in the same boat here. The only thing is that you get consistent revenue from HPCI, right? And if you can get an ROI of 2 years on the machines, on the GPUs, and still run them for maybe another 2 years, you're going to make money on it that way. But the hard part right now for all of these guys, you're building out the data centers, right? You got to build them out to put them into something. So that's costly in the beginning. But once you build them out, I mean, after that, once you depreciate them, right? Whatever the length of term that they're going to depreciate those things on. And I think with Trump's new bill there, they can depreciate 100% of that, I think, the first year. So after that, I mean, it should be roses after that. All right. Dash Market Stats says I did something out of character today and bought some call options. This stock dropped a month before earnings on some nothing burger news. The stock is bull. Okay. Gary, yes, the 5x hash loss in Canada won't be lost until all of Canada's full of GPUs, likely by the end of March 2026. Will likely be gradual loss of the 5x hash over the next 6 months. Okay. So that's not too bad. All right, AJ, when Wolf and CORZ fire? I mean, they need to get deals, right? So CORZ is obviously getting bought out by CoreWeave, so I don't expect that one to go on a huge spree here, unless the deal by shareholder gets rejected, and then maybe the cycle will run at that point. But Wolf needs another deal in order for it to run, I think, some more. That's kind of what I would see. All right, John. Any word on Riot and HPCI deals? Any chance Riot reaches 80 by the end of the year? 80, I don't think it's going to get to 80 here by the end of the year, unless it does get a deal for HPCI. But we don't know. They haven't mentioned anything yet. All right. Your institutions hold 75% of core shares, so not sure if retail will have much say, as institutions tend to vote in blocks. That is true. Yeah. All right. Sir Lellington, buy Hive. The upcoming earnings might be epic. Yeah, their revenues have been increasing nicely. That's awesome to see there. Mr. X, when is CleanSpark reporting on third quarter earnings? What's your projection? They're going to be reporting probably in about a month, I'm guessing, right? They usually report a month after, about roughly between 4 and 6 weeks after the end of the quarter here. So that's kind of where I'll be looking for that. As far as my projections for them are, I mean, they're going to be up a little bit on the Bitcoin hodl that they have, so they should at least be positive on that side of things. Earnings should also be, let me see if they're going to be up over Well, this is going to be their actually Q4, so they might be actually out longer. They might be out 6 to 8 weeks before we see their reports, because this is going to be their end of the fiscal year-end quarter. So we're looking at about 224 million here in the current quarter estimate for them. So that gets us, we might not be until November, middle of November, towards the end of November, when we do find out from them what they report here. But they should be, much nicer, and they might be actually able to squeak out a positive EPS there without the FSB impact on it. All right, so that's kind of where I'm looking at it. And again, it's $18.98. I have them between $22 and $34. They still have more room to run here, right? And if they get some kind of HPCI deal or something like that, or they talk about it more, the stock can obviously run up even higher from that. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, NG. I have 40,000 shares of Bitfarms at $1.50, and I would dare to add more at this point. Does their Pennsylvania sites are going to be bought out? We don't know that they're going to be bought out. I think they're trying to get those developed for themselves to be able to attract potential, hyperscalers or something like that at that point. But yeah, nice 40,000 shares. That's awesome. I had at one point last year, what did I have? I sold 2/3 of what I had. So I had roughly 27,000, 30,000 shares at one point. That actually had a pretty close price average as like yours, like around $1.50 something. So yeah, but I sold 2/3 of it back in November, December of last year when we were obviously getting some news on delayed goals, targets, lowered exahash as well. But I held on to it just to see how they do, and I'm happy that I did. But I was in profit at that point anyway, so I sold on profit and bought at that point more IREN shares, CleanSpark, and yeah, those were the two that I bought into at that point. Some more. Okay. Guy, please keep us in the loop when you start trimming CleanSpark or if you put any limit orders on CleanSpark. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely let you guys know, right, when I do that. All right. Yavin, end of year price target for Bitfarms in 2027. Oh gosh, who knows where it's going to be in 2027, right? That's too far out. You can barely see what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone what's going to be out in a couple of years. All right. YN, what does it mean a company has megawatts in their pipeline? Are them 100% their property? How are we sure if they are going to develop those? No, they're not in their property. They have a pipeline, meaning that they are looking at potential sites with that many megawatts, right? It also means that they don't have any contracts signed with electricity companies for those sites or anything like that. So it's basically, the way I call it, a pipeline is a pipe dream until you actually sign those contracts, right? So it's what they're looking at right now, but until they get those things signed, nothing's concrete there. All right. Does MicroStrategy says there's a new ETF ticker symbol meme. They own Cipher and IREN. Okay, interesting. I'll have to take a look at that one. What else do they have in there? Victor C, for Cipher, if they don't go neo and do co-location, can they be considered long-term hold? I think so also. I mean, it depends on the revenues they're going to be generating there, right? There's going to be consistent revenue. So the deal that they have now is for what, 10 years, right? If they get 10-year deals and they keep stacking those deals on top of one another, they're going to be generating a lot of revenue on that. And it's going to be consistent revenue, whereas Bitcoin historically has been a bull run and then a bear market, where we're down 60, 70, 80% on it. And that has never been good. So in the past, the miners have had a couple quarters. We're looking at like maybe 2, 3, at sometimes 4 max of good quarters where they're generating a heck of a lot of revenue. And then the rest has been, beaten down. So if they can actually have sustainable revenue going forward, that should be good for them. And also if Bitcoin cooperates and doesn't go into another bear market like it historically has and just continues to rally but slowly, then that's going to give them a heck of a lot more quarters of being even positive on Bitcoin mining. So it could be a double whammy at that point. All right. Sir Lellington, Seb, so glad the YouTube gods led me to your channel last year. You've been and continue to be a fount of knowledge. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Victor C, do Hive have HB? Yes, they do. So if you go back a couple of years when Ethereum was still a proof of work coin, right, before it went to proof of stake, they were actually mining a lot of Ethereum that way. And they had a ton of Ethereum too, but they ended up selling it and when Ethereum changed to proof of stake. But they had a bunch of GPUs. They have created their Buzz business, their Buzz HPCI business on those GPUs, and they've been also buying some GPUs as well. And they bought a data center in Toronto now, which they're converting into a tier 3 data center. So they are getting into that as well. Awesome. Okay. More Tim, where do you think BTC goes before Trump leaves office? Do you think monetary debasement will send Bitcoin to levels that will surprise people? I think Bitcoin will get to 1 million here within the next probably 4 to 10 years, I would say, maybe 4 to 8 years. If we just continue to go up just a little bit, right? If we go up 35, 40% a year or something like that, we could get to 1 million in a couple of years, right? So I think it's going to be up higher. I think as institutions continue to buy into it, people are buying into it, country's going to get buying into it. If we have the government start a strategic Bitcoin reserve as well, that's going to pump it up higher. So it's going to continue to go up. And then eventually we'll be talking about the Bitcoin price in Satoshis, not in per Bitcoins, right? Because it's going to get to a certain point where it's going to be $1 million plus at that point. So we'll be talking 1 Satoshi is worth whatever it is at that point. Okay, next one here. Is it possible that Bitfarms might not sign a contract because it might be acquired for their energy and locations? They have some of the best locations. I mean, you never know, right? They could always get acquired. Any one of these guys could get acquired here, right? Even at the levels that IREN's at right now, at 13, 14 billion, whatever it is right now, that's still, to a lot of these guys, it's pocket change, right? When you're talking about these companies being worth trillions of dollars. So any one of these can be acquired here. So I would say never, I guess. All right. NG, is it wise to add more shares at this point with those 40,000 shares? That is going to be your call, right? If you think it can go up a heck of a lot more, then buy more of it, right? If you think you can do at least a 2 to 3x on it, you can still buy it, but maybe buy less, right? That's completely up to you there. I can tell you guys that I'm kind of on the sidelines right now. One, I'm obviously doing my basement here, so that's taking some of my capital that I would normally have to put into these miners, but I bought in at so much lower prices on these things. I'm just holding on to the shares that I have. We'll see where they run to. And if I can turn 7 figures on the shares that I have on all these guys here, that's going to be awesome. So I'm just holding on, but that's just me, right? You guys can obviously do what you need to do. All right. Let's see, AJ, need Bitfarms and Bit Digital Target. Bit Digital Target, I don't know, right? That's going to be based on where Ethereum goes. So I think that's going to follow Ethereum. As far as Bitfarms definitely could see it much higher from where it is right now. I think it should be probably closer to like $6. And then if they get some kind of deal or something like that, we could go even higher than that, right? People are saying between $6 and $10. And I think that's fair at that point. All right. Rob Massive, IREN elected to stop putting out monthly update reports. Yes, they did, which I'm not happy about that. Kamasutra on X is also not too thrilled about that either, right? We have the same stance that, it doesn't take much to put out that information, and it keeps investors engaged, right? You can see how they're progressing. You can also talk about, obviously, your HPCI progress, how many machines you got installed here, and it's just another thing that, helps the stock there. Plus, I'm all for more information, more data from these companies. I talked about it yesterday. I think it was yesterday, where I kind of ranted a little bit where President Trump wants to allow the publicly traded companies to only report biannually, so every 6 months. I'm not a big fan of that. I think that's just too much time between information as far as how a company is doing. I think there's maybe a balance, kind of like the miners are doing now, right? I kind of like their operations, what they're doing, their growth is like they reported monthly, and then when you get the final 3 months updates from them for the quarterly results, and you get the financials and all that stuff in there at that point. I think with the data and the computers and the software now and ERP systems and all that stuff, it wouldn't take you that long, no more than a couple minutes to put out, if you're a company that's selling widgets, whatever those widgets might be, you could quickly do an export on the data and go, we've sold X amount of this, we've sold X amount of this in this month, we've sold X amount of that in this month, right? It wouldn't take you that long. And at least that way, investors can track how you're progressing, or maybe if you're struggling a little bit, instead of having to wait 3 months to find that out. So it's a different time zone that we're in, or different time frame. In the past, when all these laws were enacted, we didn't really have computers back then, right? With the quarterly results and things like that. A lot of the stuff was done on, the ledgers, things like that. It took a while. So now everything is instant pretty much. We should be having more data released than less. But that's just my take. All right. Okay. All right. Talked about that one here. Guy, you are my guru when it comes to investing. Seb, the guru. Lots of love and prayers for you. I'm not a guru, trust me, on this. We've been in the red not in the red, but we were down in the dumps for a long time with these guys until they started to finally run here. We had conviction in it, at least I had conviction in it, and I think you guys did as well, and we're now benefiting from it. But it has been easy. It has not been easy at all, but the gains have been fantastic here. All right. Gary Powell, when do you think first miner will announce Q3 earnings? Late October? I don't think it. I would say early November. I don't think late. I don't know if anybody reported the same month that the quarter ended or quarter began. I think it's always been like at least like 4 weeks out. Victor C. Question: once the government reopens, BTC should continue the rally. I do think so. Yes. Victor C. Hey sir, do you have a big stash of Hive? I had Hive back in 2017, 2018. Held on to it through the bull run of 2021. And held on to it also through the bear market of 2022. Finally sold it in 23 or 24. I can't remember when I sold it, last year or the year before. But I sold it at that point. Still at some gains there, but I had much bigger gains going back to 2021 if I sold it at that point. But everybody was saying Bitcoin's going up much higher. It's going to 100,000, right? Bitcoin got to 69,000, and that was it. We got there, 63 and then 69, and that was it. So, and then everything went down after that. And we're thinking, oh, it'll bounce back up because it's going to bounce back up. But no, at that point, the stock was already down like 40, 50%. It's like, okay, well, lesson learned there. YN. So in the case of Bitfarms, how many megawatts have they contracted and how many are just a pipe dream? So they do have megawatts already in the Pennsylvania sites, right? It's a couple hundred megawatts, but they're trying to get those expanded out to, I think, 1 or 2 sites to like a total of 1 gigawatts per site there, I think. But they're in the process of working on that. They're trying to go through, obviously, all the regulatory red tape and everything else they got to go through there. And we may not find that out until another 6 months or something like that, maybe a year even. So, yeah, it's, I would say it's not a pipe dream. I think it's just getting the regulatory approval there. So they're already in there, just getting the regulatory approval there, if they can get it. But it's no guarantee there. Sir Langton, oh, yes, okay. Let's see, Victor, nice. Victor C, are you on Discord? I am. If you're a Patreon member, you get access to our private Discord server there. All right, I guess you guys are between yourselves there. Sir Langton, cool. Victor C, subs Discord, yep. Hope I'm Face. Thanks for the great video. You're very welcome. Thanks for coming in. Why? In the case of Bitfarms, how many megawatts have they really contracted? Okay, we talked about that one already. Let's see. Question: Hive's graph looks like it's going to take off. It's already been taken off. Yeah, it's continuing to run here. It's been way undervalued in the past. It's finally starting to get a little bit of love from investors, which is nice to see. Gary, starting to look like IREN will beat Mara's growth percentage from last bull market by end of year. How many people called that in April? Yeah, nobody called that really. Also, Mara, from the bottom of the cycle in 2021 to the top of the cycle in 2021, it was like up 70x, I think it was. So yeah, if IREN gets to, what was it at the lowest, like $1 something, I think at one point. So if it goes to like $80, $90, then yeah, it might actually do even better than IREN, or than Mara did in 2021 cycle. Okay, let's see. Remember, we are having a Zoom session when IREN hits $100. Yeah, we can set something up. I can send out invites for have you guys join me here. Sorry, Melon's question. Zoom session? We could do that. What about Cipher at 30? They would need more deals, right? Or get into HPCI for themselves with becoming a neo cloud, basically, at that point. All right. CleanSpark, do you think dilution soon? No, I don't yet. They have, like, Matt has reported on X that they have not diluted anything since November of last year, right? Which is freaking awesome. So I think they're generating enough revenue from their Bitcoin money, and they're still stacking Bitcoin at that point as it is. So they do have a nice hollow position that they could use if need be. They do have now, what is it, 300 million or 400 million of BTC-backed credit loans, right? Or credit facilities, whatever they would call them. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to have to dilute just yet, but who knows? DFly and Sour, yes, Seb agreed to celebrate via Zoom. Yeah, we can do it. Good to know. JMot, Seb, I am a covered call kind of guy. I have many options and sold coming up. Short term, of course, just opinion only. Do we hit 25 by November or do we pull back? On CleanSpark, that is? I'm not sure which one you're talking about here, but I'm guessing it's CleanSpark because CleanSpark's under 25 right now. I think we do hit it. We're not too far off from right now, so I do think we will get there. All right, I agree. I like the reports, but can you blame any company from distancing themselves from Bitcoin miner label? It's been a curse. Yeah, I mean, I kind of get that they're not growing, right? And their exahash might actually be decreasing there. But you kind of put that out there anyways. People know about it, but you can maybe put that in the end of the update there and maybe highlight, here's a process that we're on Horizon 1. Where are we in the stages? How far along? Where are we with GPUs installations, all that stuff? Where are we generating the revenues and all that stuff? Highlight that. Put the Bitcoin mining side on the bottom. Let's see. Rob Massive says miners print dollars, no cents, and total collapse in the biz model if AI pivot is not an option for the available infrastructure when they can keep printing money and BTC continue funding ops. Yeah, I agree. Yep. All right, that's market stats. I remember when you were getting hate on X from some Bitfarm bears. Oh yeah, not just from Bitfarms bears, but from CleanSpark bears, IREN bears. Certain points, yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride. DeFi CleanSpark options up 103%. Just bought 2 weeks ago. This can 10x easy. Nice. That's awesome to see. Let's see. DeFi says hate makes it even more sweeter. Well, I don't hate anybody. Let's see. Sir Langton says Hive to the moon. Victor C might get some Hive. Awesome. OTC. Why don't you like warrants? Because our work is doing great. I know that they are doing great, and that's maybe on my own end. I just like getting into the regular stock there. That's just me though. But yeah, I know a lot of people, maybe you even included, are doing great in those, and that's awesome. But I'm a simple kind of guy, right? I don't do options either. I just like to buy the stocks that I think are undervalued, that have huge potential going forward, that I have conviction in, and that's the way I roll. Okay, yeah, I'm sure I'm probably missing out, obviously doing options, and I'm missing out on warrants as well. Right, DeFi, but honestly, hard to believe HPC miners would move like altcoins. One of my buys for IREN, I'm up 10x. That's awesome. Yeah, but they were, we were. I guess you could say we were kind of lucky. I guess maybe, in a sense that we got into the Bitcoin miners because but they were growing like tremendously, but they were getting up sites and they were getting megawatts, and then we find out that HPC is moving faster, or AI is actually moving faster, a lot faster than people were expecting it, right? And then that kind of poured everything into Bitcoin miners because they do have a lot of megawatts. So I view it as a happy happenstance that we got into it. So, all right, let's see. And Toronto, I'm not used to seeing profits. I sell too early. I tried to sit on some cash to sell to see if I could buy Hive and Bitfarms if it would go down, but I ended up buying something else. Okay. Yeah, that's the hard part, right? Sometimes sitting on profits and waiting a little bit longer, because, yeah, it's tough. Your IREN low was $1.02 on December 3rd, 2022. I was poor sucker who paid $1.15 same day. Okay. Yeah, so if that was the low, it gets to $71, $72 or something like that per share, then yeah, it's going to be at 70x multiple from the lows at that point. All right. What do you think Bitfarms' fair value is? I think their fair value should be probably around, like, right now, somewhere between 3 and 4 billion. I think they're at like 2 billion right now, so I think there's still more room to run for it. And if they come out with some good news on their progress in getting more megawatts at the sites that they do have, and their progress towards possibly doing a pilot site as well for HPCI, I think that would help out there. So it still has more room to run for sure. All right. What would be the difference between pipeline megawatts and inventing a random number? Because if they are just look at it, then a company could perfectly say they have 10 gigawatts in their pipeline, right? Well, so you can't lie to investors. So what they have to say is that they have a pipeline of things that they're looking at. So that's actually true there, right? So they are looking at these sites with potential megawatts at each site there. But until you sign like the letter of intents, things like that, it's still a pipeline, right? It doesn't go into like development stage of things, right? Because when you actually get a site, you start developing, right? But a pipeline is basically a pipe dream until you sign those megawatts or those sites and letters of intents with the electrical companies and all that stuff. So that's kind of the way I look at it there. So they are looking at those, right? Those are actual sites, but nothing has been signed off on those yet. Daniel, do you see more potential in Bitfarms or Cipher in the next few months? honestly, I would say maybe Bitfarms is in a nice run up here, right? So it's at $4 right now. I think Cipher possibly has more megawatts available to them in the next few months than Bitfarms does. So in that regard, I would say maybe Cipher, if they can get deals for those megawatts. All right. Okay. Sir Langton says JPM head staff in the UK forecast a crash in the stock market in less than 2 years. Haha, you have to laugh on that prediction. Always moaning a lot. Yeah, I've been so far I've been hearing for the last 2 to 3 years that each year we're gonna have a recession. Each year we're gonna have a recession. That things are gonna go down. Nothing like that has happened yet. I don't foresee anything like that happening here. I'll start to get worried if we get, a quarter of negative GDP growth or 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. Okay, then we're definitely in the recession at that point. But right now, I still think things are looking good. All right, DeFi Seb, I want to thank you for IREN. You are the main reason I went in on it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been talking about IREN. We started covering them basically when they became public in the United States here back in 2021. I almost invested in them back in 2022. Right, I've told you guys that story there. Almost invested. That was probably like around October, I think, September, October, this time frame as well. But they had something of a little bit of a hiccup there. I held off on it, and then once I saw that they're growing tremendously with their Bitcoin mining sites and getting to 50 exahash, that's when I pulled the trigger and finally, bought a ton at that point. And that is my best performer right now as it is. Okay, let's see. So talked about that one here. Jawadula. Hey, what's your opinion on Argo? Argo was going to be like the IREN of today back then, back in like 2021 and things going into the future here. But they really messed things up, right? They got into financial trouble with some of the loans that they took out. Bitcoin obviously came down. They had built a beautiful site, Helios, which now Galaxy owns. So, yeah, I don't know where they are right now. I know that they don't have barely any sites left. And they are much, much smaller than what they were in the past. So I really don't know. But I'll be surprised if they make it another year or two. All right, R24509. Hey, Seb, have you heard of DigiPowerX? Yes. I covered them before they were called DigiPower. They were called just Digihost. At that point, I covered them. I stopped covering them last year when they weren't growing to at least 5 exahash of hash rate. I called them small miners, and yeah, but I did cover them in the past at least. All right, investments, IREN Heart there. Let's see. Savijan, thank you so much for becoming a member. Mark, who else regrets no buying a couple months ago when miners were in a dumpster? Yeah, that was the time to buy, right? I've been buying these things for the last 3 years when they were going down on dips. All right, Mark Bond, CleanSpark is going to skyrocket. Bitcoin is going higher, rate cut coming, and CleanSpark has a new CEO going big. Mara the same. Okay. Desmark Seb, I'd go to battle with you, but I'm still banned on X. Can't you create another X account or another user account? Yeah. Victor C, did the CEO of Cipher mention he wanted to get into NeoCloud? They are looking that, yes, they did mention that they are looking into that possibility. They are investigating it, basically, what he said, I think. All right, what else we got here? All right, if quarterly reporting changes to 6 months, that is really bad. Yeah, I agree, right? I want more data, not less data. We could have made life-changing money if you got in earlier. Yeah, what's your average Sterlington on Hive? Okay, you guys are having conversations there. Dead Market Set says, my Yankees got eliminated today. I'm sorry to hear that. All right, CleanSpark tomorrow will have blowout earnings. This is from Mark Bond. I don't know if they're going to have blowout earnings. Bitcoin's up only a couple percentage points from the quarter prior, so I'm not expecting a huge impact on their FSB numbers for that. But yeah, revenues are up for at least for CleanSpark. I think Mara's also, let me see, Mara's might be actually down on revenues from their prior quarter here at least. No, they're up. So I have them at 242 million from 218. Yeah, so they're up at least on revenues on that side of things here. So we'll see what they put in for depreciation and stock-based compensation and all that stuff. We'll see how much, how much they're milking the cow there, I guess. Let's go back here. So we'll see. Rob Messer says triannual would be at most, so every 4 months. Yeah, I guess that would be definitely better than every 6 months, but it's still not great. Okay. DeFi asks when CleanSpark earnings. Those will be probably sometime mid-November to late November, I'm guessing, because it's the end of the end of the year there. So it's fiscal year end numbers, which those have to be reported and audited, right? So that always takes longer. All right, DeFi says CleanSpark, your top buys in any dip. Seems like this has a lot of room to run. Yeah. Dead market stats. If there's a dip on stocks in January, we should buy the hell out of it. New tax bill will boost the economy starting February. Okay, oh, that's true. Cobra, Bit Digital is the most upside right now. Wi-Fi holding alone is literally market cap. Exahash I see pumping to 10,000 MNAV 0.6. Yeah, it might run, right? I don't know. That's basically just a Ethereum holding company right now. All right, Sir Langton, there will be dips in December. That's the beauty of stocks. You always got opportunities. You just have to take profits too. Yep, that is true. And Chaitra, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Hi, Seb, I have a $37 call for January 2026. Do you recommend holding till expiry or sell in it in December? That I don't know. I don't do options. So there's plenty of very well educated on options viewers here and commenters as well. I'm sure they're gonna be able to help you out on that one. That is beyond me right now because I don't do options. DeFi says Mike Alfred had steak dinner with Matt CEO tonight. Wonder what they talked about. Otherwise, maybe Mike joining the board there. Yeah, he wouldn't join unless he left IREN there. So I don't see that happening there, but you never know. All right. Heinz is asking a question, when's the meetup, Seb? When IREN hits $100, right? Victor C, appreciate all the answers. You're very welcome. Thanks for coming in, as always. Daz Market Stats, sell options in profit. There you go. See, Daz Market Stats does options all the time. So, yeah, there you go. All right, I think I've caught up to all your questions here. I got one more coming in from Calvin. It looks like, let me wait for it to pop into my software at least. All right, Kevin, do you have any updated short interest numbers on CleanSpark? I'm getting conflicting reports from people, but I can't find the data to confirm. I have the data. The data that I have is a little bit old. It's about, the latest data I have is from 9/15. The latest data that we'll have is about a week from now, something like that. All right. See, Dead Market Stats says a win is a win, big or small. Yep. Gary, do you think any miner will join IREN in being a profitable for Q3? Are you going to predict CleanSpark will make it a fourth straight time? I mean, their revenue is up. They should, in theory, be EPS positive without the FSB. We'll see if they, well, the stuff with the ex-CEO leaving, I think that might impact some of the numbers, or maybe because of the share-based compensation and stuff in there. I don't know. We'll see. But they should be close. All right. Kevin says, cheers. Cheers to you all. All right. We'll cover whatever happens tomorrow with Bitcoin miners, anything else AI related that happens in the space. We'll talk about it then. I'm loving this. This is great. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm a little skittish right now, having such huge gains. It is a challenge to not do anything right now, to not sell, to hold on to it a little bit longer. So I'm with you guys on that one. It's tough, but I see also a bunch of you guys that do sell at certain points. You guys buy back in, and that is awesome that you guys are able to do that. I've tried doing that in the past, and I've actually lost money on it. So if you guys are able to do that, congrats there. My hat's off to you. I'm just going to hold on until a certain future date and sell at that point, unless I see things crashing like crazy, and I'll just be panic selling at that point. All right, but that's it. Love you all. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.